Welcome to workout number 20. Today's workout is going to be core focused. So we're going to have a lateral bear crawl, which is going to be working on that front side core, so preventing that arching in your back, in addition to working on the obliques. We have a side plank rotation, which is going to be in a sideways position, working on those obliques. And then we have a single leg glute bridge, which is going to be working on the hips, which is also a part of our core. So for the first movement, we have that lateral bear crawl. So you're going to start in a tabletop position, putting weights into your hands, into your toes. You're going to slightly elevate the knees up. So as I do the lateral bear crawl, I'm really focusing on my shins, maintaining a parallel position to the ground. So the higher my hips come up, the easier it's going to be. As I do the lateral bear crawl, I'm thinking opposite hand and foot are moving together. So my hand is going to move closer to the other hand as my feet move apart, and then like this. So it'll be like this. Sometimes this coordination is the hardest part. As I do the lateral bear crawl, I really want to focus on my hips and shoulders maintaining their level. So if you put like a foam ball or like a ball or a yoga block on your back, it wouldn't fall off as you did the crawl. So you can put something on your low back, slight hover, and then you're just going to step from side to side, step from side to side while maintaining your hip position. If you begin to wobble too much, the block is going to fall off your hips. So we really want to maintain that hip position as we crawl. For the lateral bear crawl, you're just going to crawl back and forth, maybe doing 1 or 2 steps in one direction and then in the other for 30 seconds. The next movement we have is going to be the side plank rotations. So you're going to come into a side plank position. The front leg or the top leg can come forward like this to add some more support. You can have both feet to be together. It's totally up to you. And then you have an option to grab onto a weight. So I'm going to reach down in between my arm and my leg, and then I'm going to reach up to the ceiling. So I'm reaching underneath and then opening up. The weight is optional though, so you can do this without the weight. You can have the feet be more stacked to make it more challenging as well. If that's too much, you can also come down to the forearm to reach back and forth as well if you're having any sort of like wrist issues. The last movement we have is going to be the single leg glute bridge. So you're going to come onto your back, and then we're going to lift one foot off the ground, and then I'm going to exhale to drive my hips up to the ceiling, and then inhale to lower down. So as I drive my hips up, at the top I can almost think like tuck my butt underneath just a little bit. What I want to avoid is throwing my belly up towards the ceiling. So you can see how it causes my hips to drop. I want to think my hips are what's driving to the ceiling. If the single leg glute bridge is too much, we can do a staggered stance. So I'll come onto the heel of this foot, exhale to drive to bring the hips up. So this leg is providing some balance and support, but this is still my work leg. Or we can just do a traditional glute bridge. So both feet are going to be even with one another, but same concept. I'm thinking drive my hips up towards the ceiling. So for today's workout, we have 3 rounds, 30 seconds each of a lateral bear crawl. We're going to crawl in both directions for the 30 seconds. We have 30 seconds per side of the side plank rotations. Weight is optional for that one. And then we have 30 seconds per leg for the single leg glute bridge, but you can do the stagger stance or just do 1 minute of glute bridges. So the first movement we have is that lateral bear crawl. So you can put something on your back to help you focus on keeping your hips level. Slight hover in the knees, keep the shins parallel, and then just begin to step side to side. So opposite hand and opposite foot are going to be working together. So if you try to do the same side, it's going to cause you to kind of lift all the way up. So we definitely want to think like opposite hand, opposite foot working together. Really focus on keeping those knees close to the ground so that the shins stay parallel to the floor. And then it's really slow steps. So I'm thinking put weight into that opposite hand and foot, and then shift. Put weight into the opposite hand and foot, and then shift to really keep that block on my back. So coming into our side plank rotations, choosing the variation that works best for you. So this top foot can be either in front of you or it can be stacked. Reach in between the arm and the leg, and then reach up to the ceiling. Reach into the below, and then rotate up. Again, the weight is optional. Feet can also be stacked. If this position is too much on the wrist, come down to the forearm. Be another good option for you. So reaching up. And then switching sides, so facing the opposite direction, using the same variation that you did on that side. So we can either be down on our forearm, we can have the arm be straight, feet can be stacked, or this leg can be in front. So reaching underneath, and then rotating and open up. Reach underneath, rotate, open up. And again, you can come down to that forearm instead if it's not feeling great on your wrist. And then the feet can be stacked. If you want it to be a little bit harder, if you need more support, bring that top foot down. But really try to keep weight into this bottom leg. Coming onto your back for that single leg glute bridge. And if the single leg doesn't feel great, we can do our staggered, or we can have both feet be even. So lifting one foot up, I'm gonna think exhale, drive the hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, drive up, inhale, down. As you drive up, really focus on keeping that knee stacked with that ankle. So I don't want the knee to be flying out or like driving in either. So exhale, push the hips up, inhale to come down. If you need more support, you can have the arms be down. You can kind of push through the arms to lift you up, or you can have the arms be up or on your hips if you want it to be a little bit harder. Switching sides, so putting weight into that other foot. And then same thing, I want to think, keep that knee stacked over that ankle. Hands can either be on my hips or down on the floor. I'm going to exhale to drive the hips towards the ceiling, not the belly. Inhale to lower back down. Exhale, drive up, inhale down. And you can pause at the top and then lower down. Back to those lateral bear crawls. So again, if you want to put that block on your lower back to ensure that you're maintaining a fairly level position, feel free. Slight hover of the knees, keep the shins parallel to the floor. Really think knees are staying down as you crawl from side to side. So put weight into the opposite hand, opposite foot, and then shift. So usually the slower you go with these, the better, because you can really focus on keeping a good core position. If you go too fast, usually you begin to kind of lose your core positioning, and it can make it a little bit easier. Moving into our side plank rotations. So doing the same variation that you did previous rounds, or maybe you're gonna increase the intensity of it. So feet can be stacked, foot can be in front, down on the forearm or up on the wrist. Reaching underneath and then up towards the ceiling. Reach underneath and then up towards the ceiling. You can almost think like try to bring that elbow down to the floor, and that'll really bring you into that rotation. Go ahead and switch sides. So doing the same variation that you did on the other side can be different from previous rounds. So feet either stacked, foot in front, forearm, or wrist. So try to bring the elbow to the floor, reach up to the ceiling, elbow to the floor, reach up to the ceiling. Coming into our single leg glute bridge. So come onto your back, put weight into one foot. You can lift the other knee up and then think drive the hips towards that ceiling. So exhale, drive up, inhale, lower down. So arms down is gonna give you more support. Arms off the floor is gonna be a little bit harder. And then again, you can do that staggered stance or that glute bridge. So bring the other foot onto the floor. You can stagger that heel if the single leg is too much, or feet can be even with one another. And then think exhale, drive those hips up to the ceiling, slight tuck at the top, and then inhale, lower down. Keep the knees stacked and aligned with that ankle, so we don't want the knee to fly out or inwards. Pause at the top and then lower down slow and controlled. Moving into our final round, back to that lateral bear crawl. So you can take that yoga block, put it on your hips. Remember that it is optional, you don't have to use it. Slight hover, and then opposite hand, opposite foot moving together. Really think put weight into those two opposite sides, and then step. So slow and controlled is better than moving super fast. Trying to keep the knees low to the ground. There'll be a tendency to begin to raise the hips up as you get more fatigued. And in these tabletop positions, sometimes you might see a little bit more coning just based on how the belly is positioned. If you're pregnant, as long as you don't have like tons of exertion, it should be fine. Moving into our side plank rotations, if you want to grab onto your weight, coming into a setup that works best for you. So feet stacked or foot in front, reaching underneath, think elbow to floor, and then reach towards the ceiling. The same thing for these side plank positions. You may find that your belly looks like it's coning, where like the top half seems like it's bulging out a little bit more. It's just how the core is activating. It's not coning, it's just the bottom core is working a little bit harder, so it's gonna be pulling closer to the body, while the top core is not quite as activated. So it's gonna be bulging out a little bit more, but it's not coning, it's just how the core is activated. So if that's happening in the side plank positions, it's a non-issue. Similar how your muscles on different sides would be, probably slightly different shapes depending on how active they were. Like if I was only using a single leg movement, that glute is probably gonna be a lot more activated than my lifted leg. Same thing with our core. Another thing, drive those hips to the ceiling so we don't want them to start sagging down to the floor. Moving on to our single leg glute bridge, final movement. Coming onto your back, we can do single leg or staggered, or feet even with one another. So think drive the hips towards the ceiling, inhale to lower down, hips to the ceiling, knees staying stacked with that ankle so it's not caving in or shifting outwards. Hands up around the hips is gonna be a little bit harder. Hands down on the floor to give you some more support will make it a little bit easier. So exhale, drive the hips up, hold, and then lower down with control. Hold, lower down with control. Switching sides, so place weight into that opposite foot, doing the same setup that you did the other side. So either single leg, staggered, or just a glute bridge variation. Arms on the floor easier, arms up around the hips, a little bit harder. Drive the hips towards the ceiling, slight tuck at the butt underneath, and then lower down. Drive the hips up, slight tuck underneath, lower the hips down. So come up and hold, and then lower down with control. Hold, and then lower down with control. That concludes workout number 20. Today's workout was a core focused workout. All of those movements are safe for pregnancy and into the postpartum period. We just want to find a variation that feels good for us in our body. And then knowing that you don't have to push to extremes to see strengthening in your core, we just want to go to a level that feels really good for us. So if you like this workout, check out our prenatal and postpartum fitness programs. We offer them all online. We have programs within a Team Builder app, which is a list of exercises with short demo videos, which is a more traditional style of workout delivery. And then we also have full-length workout videos like this that are offered both for pregnancy and for the postpartum. And so if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so that you get notified every time we post new videos. And it continues to help our channel grow so that we can keep giving you free content like this.